All right, let's drink some wine. Hi, everybody. I'm Bryan Hinschberger.
And I'm Paul Hinschberger.
We are the Wine Brothers, tasting some stupidly good wines from the Priorat region of Spain. Balmivant Imports, we import fantastic wines from Spain and Italy. And this is our house from Priorat. Priorat sits, so we're talking southwest of Barcelona, in the kind of off the sea a little bit of the Mediterranean, encompassed by a DO called Montsant, and it's this tiny little area called Priorat. Priorat has historically been known for kind of swill, just not very good wine. It made a lot of juice. It made, it didn't do a whole lot. The earth there is steep vineyards. The soil's weird. No one really ever put much thought into it until mid-1980s. René Barbier, famous Spanish winemaker, Alvaro Palacios, they get together and they go, you know what? We're going to make the Garnatxa project. So Garnatxa is one of the subzones of Priorat, and it's an area where super steep slopes, and they're just like, you know what, we can do good things here. So René Barbier kind of spearheaded this, and there was 5 original people that in the late 80s started having their vines. They brought them in, and they were all kind of in these walled vineyards, and they made this crazy, delicious, amazing wine that has now put Priorat on the map as we know it today.
Absolutely, and it's come into the world in a big way.
In a huge way. I mean, it's so much so that in 2000, Priorat went from a DO, just denomination origin, to a DOQ, which is like Rioja's DOCA, calificada, qualifying this area. They're the only 2 in Spain, and Priorat's a pretty young region. Some may say that's kind of bogus, but some may say it absolutely makes sense because Priorat's amazing. Mm-hmm. So field blends, they use all sorts of crazy varietals from Garnatxa, Carolina, Cabernet, Syrah, Touriga Nacional, all sorts of all over the map. And they put it all in a bottle and call it Priorat, and it's fantastic. So now we're on to Odysseus. Odysseus is this house that we have right in Garnatxa. In fact, they sit in between Finca Dauphine of Alvaro Palacios and Clos Mogador of René Barbier. I mean, they sit in between, sandwiched there. So we're talking these grapes are no slouch of grapes. Let's start tasting, because Josep Puig started the winery with his daughter Sylvia. Sylvia is now the winemaker. Josep's kind of like, I'm gonna start fading out of this process. But they make this killer bottle of white. They actually do a couple whites, but this is 100% Garnatxa Blanca. Everybody's heard of Grenache or Garnatxa from Spain. Garnatxa Blanca is it's around, but it's not quite as popular, or you don't see usually 100% bottlings of it.
Right. Yeah.
Paul, how's the nose on this wine?
It smells delicious. It's
I love this wine.
It's kind of pear, like definitely a lot of pear, and a lot of something that I can't really identify. It's
fruit wise, mineral wise,
more fruity.
More fruit. Okay. Maybe lychee nut. Lychee nut. It's always a safe bet. Mm-hmm. Pears, green apples, but it has this really distinct minerality going straight through it. How's the palate?
Delicious. It's got the body of Garnatxa Blanca. I mean, it kind of has that heavy body like a lot of Spanish white varietals have.
Almost said obese people. Heavy body.
Yes.
It's got a heavy body on this one. I love this wine. This is a fresh, fantastic, exciting, very, very riveting white that I think will pair with so many different types of food. From salads to seafoods to really any appetizers. But if you like white with your steak and chicken and pork, this is gonna cut it.
Easy,
like a razor beam.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. So we're talking about this minerality. Priorat is known for one particular type of rock. It's called licorella. It's this black quartz over slate. it's really amazing. What it does is it retains unbelievable heat. You know, it's black from the sun. That heat then stays with those plants all day long and then into the night as well. It kind of radiates and just keeps this awesome little, you know, microclimate within the vineyard to make all of these wines shine with minerality. That's what I always get off all of these, is this long finish of minerals, you know?
Yeah.
Anything else that you're pulling off this bad boy?
Just delicious. I mean, I there's still something that I'm trying to identify and I can't, so
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to stick on it.
Fair enough, fair enough. So let's move to the Achilles. Now you're going to go, wait a second, that looks like, you know, Achilles, like the heel, the Greek mythology. So Odysseus, the bodega's name is Vinedos y Ithaca. Ithaca, right? So Greek mythology. Josep Puig and his daughter have a tremendous amount of respect for the old Greek gods and basically the nation of Greece, because arguably all of the varietals that we drink today came from there. So this is kind of a homage or a, you know, tribute to the Greeks for bringing wine to not only Spain but to really the entire world.
Sure.
Thus Odysseus, you know, all the Odyssey, the Homer, all of it. Achilles. This wine is awesome. This is yep. This is one of Paul's favorites. Bright purple, beautiful label. Achilles. Now this is a blend of, you know, Carolina, Garnatxa, Cabernet, Garnatxa Peluda. And so it's these field blends that they basically pick. It's kind of almost like, if you think of it, it's like the Douro in Portugal. Steep, steep slopes, and they had all sorts of grapes growing. So there's just a hodgepodge, and you pick them and you throw them in. Now they've kind of realized where everything is growing, so they can give you percentages. But it's this amazing field blend of really, really crazy international varieties, indigenous varieties, that turn into what we know of as Priorat.
Right.
Now, when I say these are steep slopes, ready to grasp this, we're talking 60% slopes. Like, I don't even know what that is. My arm doesn't do 60. It's like this. It's crazy. So they're terraced vineyards on these slopes. This is not easy to maneuver. You know, Paul, you've been in several vineyards.
Okay, so they're terraced. Okay. I was imagining like in Germany they come down in their harnesses, like
they do a lot of terracing in Priorat.
Right.
A lot of terracing, but either way, it's
Sure,
extremely difficult to work with. You can't bring machines down. We're talking hand harvested. All of Odysseus fruit is farmed organically. You know, these guys are just so cool. Josep and his daughter Sylvia, they just make extremely clean, polished, beautiful Priorat. So now that you've kind of dove into their reds, what's going on?
bright cherry and blackberry bramble. It's got the minerality of. I mean, you definitely taste the soil minerality. I don't know how to describe it other than that it's just you taste the earth, like the rocks that it was grown in, and
the way I describe this. So if you're ever wondering, like, well, how do I know if it's minerality? You've got all this fruit right when it hits your palate. It's like, oh, berries, juicy love, you know. And then the finish comes in, and you're like, okay, the fruit's starting to die off. It's still kind of there. Oh, but this, you know, I mean, this finish goes on forever. And all of a sudden, what's left is this. Did I just chew on some earth? And that, to me, is where you can really decide minerality. And it comes in many flavors, many forms, but this is just Priorat minerality that I think is distinctive and delicious. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's great.
I dig it. So this is the Achilles. So now, price point wise, the Garnatxa Blanca, not a cheap bottle of white, but guaranteed it'll blow your eyes out. That's what I was thinking. $35 on the shelf. The Achilles, $45 on the shelf. I might have that backwards. Actually, this is going to be $45 on the shelf. This is like $35, the Achilles. Okay. So $35 for this, I think, is screaming deal.
Easy.
The Garnatxa Blanca probably in the 25 to 35 range, depending on where you at. But they do very, very high end, clean expressions. So anything else you want to add to this before we move on?
Just a hint of blueberries is all. And onwards.
Touch of blueberries. So this is the Tinto, 2006 fresh vintage. For them, 2006, still 5 years old, but gorgeous, gorgeous wine. This blends in Petit Verdot, Touriga Nacional. It's still got the Carniña, the Garnatxa, the Garnatxa Blanca. Beautiful wine. So this has seen 10 months in French oak that it was also fermented in. The Achilles was about 9 months. 9 months of French and American oak.
Right.
But this is now fermented in barrel. And talk to me. What do you got on the nose? How's the palate? Oh, it's really, really rich. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Still has that minerality and brambliness of the Achilles, but it's got God, it's just such great structure of like really great tannic structure.
Check this out. I wanted to bring this up. To me, these wines are made with such precision and such perfection that I always think of Josep and Sylvia, because Josep is a scientist. He's an engineer in his brain. He makes these wines to, like he builds a building, if he were to build buildings. They're so well constructed. And to prove his scientific thought, this is called a Puig Pull. So Josep and Sylvia Puig is their last name. And the Puig Pull is a amazing little cool crank thing that pulls a bottle, the cork straight out. Right. Here's a little kind of snippet on how this thing works. But what it shows me is just his absolute genius and his brain of building perfect, delicious, delicious wines. Kind of a cool little corkscrew to have in your collection. Let's move on to the Black Label.
That's good.
Absolutely delicious. So now on to the Odysseus Black. This is kind of the top tier, $85 on a shelf and worth every penny. 2004, unbelievable vintage throughout Spain, but most definitely also Priorat. Belong in hell. These wines are so rich, so opulent, but also so backed with minerality. You stick your nose in, it's not like smelling big Cabernet.
No.
It doesn't explode off the glass. You really dig deep for all these layers, and it's just layered like you'd think of the earth layered there, and the terraced.
It's powerful but subtle at the same time, like a beautiful woman.
Powerful and subtle.
I don't know if that's a good analogy, but doesn't really matter.
I can dig it. So the Black Label is kind of the top tier. It's his pride and joy, very small production. Like I said, this is all organic. How's the palate?
That's all I have to say. It's delicious. It's fantastic, in fact.
And you can taste the climate in this too.
Yeah.
Priorat's very hot. It's dry. It has a lot of Mediterranean influence because it's right there off the coast.
Right.
But it's so telling of where it's from. When people say they like to pay attention to terroir, I think Priorat has a lot of terroir, and maybe that's why they got elevated into the DOQ status. But beautiful, beautiful wines. Absolutely, so much grace, so much finesse, but so much power, and impress any of your friends with this, with anything from Priorat. Absolutely gorgeous. So, Vinedos y Ithaca Odysseus line from Josep and Sylvia Puig. From Garnatxa Blanca to these crazy cool field blends of reds that turn into these magical, magical wines. I hope you can find these. I hope you enjoy them, and cheers.
Salud.